That way we can proceed with the meeting. Okay, so for the statement of necessity, notice of the October 14th meeting of the Real Estate Commission, including date, time, and locations, and notice on the Citizen Real Estate website on August 26, 2020. Additionally, this month's agenda has been posted on the website since Friday, October 8th, 2021. For the roll, Commissioner Joe Begley, Commissioner Jeff Diaz, Commissioner PJ Harris,
Here.
Commissioner Marcia Banks, Commissioner Steve Glenn,
Here.
Commissioner John Moffett,
Here.
Commissioner Joan Smith, Commissioner Stacy Jordan, Chairman John Bruce.
So the opinion of the chair that we have forums to keep it going, people quit interrupting us. All right, with that said, at this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Porter if Yeoman's work to get this meeting set up, and especially with dinner last night, to lead us in a prayer, and on that, if all will stand, she will also lead us in place to fly.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. To every person who is trained, travel, and those who are trying to be here. Thank you for the summer, and as we bring us listeners and make a mother and help us learn to
All right, before we get started, just a couple of things. If you expect to continue education, right, attending this meeting, you have to stay here for the whole meeting. You should have already signed in. Required to sign out on the way out. So once we finish, don't go busting through the door until you sign out. Second of all, I would recognize, asking Mr. Former Commissioner, asking Diane Hills, who served with the Real Estate Commission for 5 years, and was about as dedicated as anybody I've ever seen with the city this morning. I want to thank the North East Tennessee Association of Realtors for breakfast this morning. David Rafita Band is always in the city. And my friend Julie King in the back, that's part of my here at Parent Cody. Let's see, anybody else who's doing as president of the Tennessee Association of Realtors for Trails. Here as well. Now, your paperwork this morning. Check with God.
no, I suggest maybe that I stop second my. This is the
Second.
I think.
All right, next up is to approve today's agenda, commissioners. So a motion to approve today's agenda. Okay, got a motion by Mr. Ferris, second by Ms. Smith, that it's going to be approved as presented. Any additions? Anything else anybody would like to add? All right, let's vote. Those in favor of that motion, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next up is to approve the minutes of our September meeting. Mr. Ferris makes a motion. Second by Mr. Quinn. Discussion, corrections, revisions. If not, let's vote. Those in favor of that motion, vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. Motion passes unanimously. All right, next up. Caitlin, I'm going to make an assumption that people behind us can hear at this point.
I think so.
Okay, so we have a series, we have 4 individuals who need permission from the Tennessee Real Estate Commission to move forward to get their real estate license, or perhaps not to move forward if this commission chooses not to give them that permission. Each of these people has some history that's caused them to have to come before us. So we're going to hear from them individually, and I'd like to know, I don't know, they're only identified us as candidates A, B, C, and D. So I don't know who we're talking to, but we will hear from all. So could we just do a quick roll call, Kate, to see if they're working for them?
Yes. Do we have Sean?
We're here.
Okay, great, thank you.
What's your
Sean, correct, me if I'm wrong on the last name pronunciation, but Sean Leverage?
Oh, sorry, that was us.
Yes, is that your last name pronunciation?
Yes, ma'am. Leverage.
John, when we come to you, you're gonna have to talk louder, a bit closer to the mic. Which one is it?
Okay, sorry about
Sorry.
that. Is this better?
But we'll get to you, stand by. Candidate B,
That was candidate A. For candidate B, we have is Deanna Johnson. Okay, she appears to be on the line. Yes. Candidate B is no longer.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good.
Candidate C is not being presented today, so go ahead and remove that one. Candidate D is Shannon Healy on the line. Shannon, can you wave if you're on the line? Okay, thank you. And then candidate E, Nathan Golden, are you on the line?
Yes, that's me. I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
each one of us.
Does everyone have their pencil broke with them? It appears that everyone has 2 people on in the picture.
But would you like to tell me the fiscal program's name, please, for this fund?
Sure. With Sean Leverage, we have Ben Breitja.
You say first name is Ben.
Ben.
Okay. It's good enough.
And you may go through
Yes,
this.
let's see.
Deanna Johnson, we have Victoria Carmack as a pencil broker. Shannon Healy, we have Glenn Brown. And then with Nathan Golden, we have pencil broker Scott Rowland.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nathan, who's your pencil broker?
This is Vivian Armstrong.
Okay. Is the firm still Benchmark LLC?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Nashville Property Group.
Okay. Can you repeat that, Victoria? What's Victoria's last name?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry. Could you just repeat the principal broker and firm name?
Yes. It is Vivian Armstrong, and it is Nashville Property Group. And we have a firm number as well if you need that.
Yes, if you don't mind giving me that.
264-666.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right, let's, I want to talk to the candidates and to their brokers And I'm trying to explain this procedure to people once, but if you get confused by it, please let me know. In a moment, we're going to start with candidate A, Sean. And Sean, we're going to ask you to tell us what caused you to have to appear before the real estate commission.
Could
Any
you repeat the
detail
question one more time?
What you've been doing since the event, what you're doing now, what you hope to do in the future, anything you would like to tell us that you think might help with the case as far as trying to get a real estate license. We're done. When you're done, commissioners reserve the right to ask you any questions they might have. Those questions possibly your potential principal broker, ask that principal broker to tell us why you're interested in having this candidate or any of these candidates associated with your firm. Once again, the commission will have the right to ask principal brokers any questions they might have on mind, and eventually, after all the questions have been asked and answered, there will be a motion. The motion might be to let you go forward and get your license. It might be to deny you the right to get your license. It could be any kind of variation between the two. So let me just ask quickly, John, did all that makes sense to you?
Could you repeat the question one more time? It's a little difficult to hear.
First of all, you're going to have to talk about anything you can't hear you. But did you understand what I just said?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to hear you guys at the TREC. I could hear the other people in the webinar pretty clearly. It's just hard to hear what you guys are saying.
So we're going to love you a little bit. Let's try Diane. Diane Johnson. Are you on the line?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you sound good. Did you understand the procedure that I just went through?
Yes, you wanted me to give a reason why I thought the board should approve me to get my license.
Right. Since I can hear you well and understand the procedure, we're going to start with you, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask Ms. Maxwell, the Safety Director of the Real Estate Commission, just to give us a quick snapshot of the situation, and we'll turn it back over to you. Okay.
Okay, you have applicant Deanna Johnson and her principal broker, Victoria Carmack. Ms. Johnson has taken the Tennessee Real Estate Affiliate Broker exam. The firm is One Source Realty Pros, LLC. A summary of the criminal and disciplinary sanction is theft under 500. A Schedule 2 drug charge. A statement and letters of recommendation can be found on the iPad.
Okay, Victoria, give us 1 second. I'm sorry, Diana, give us 1 second. I think it's microphone works here too, Dennis.
You can move all around.
If he says it. All right, Diana, tell us what happened. Why are you here today?
Did you say ask me why I'm here?
Yeah, what got you in this situation where you had to up here?
What got me in this? Okay. I struggled with active drug addiction for probably about 15 years, and I got a jail sentence. It was by far the best thing that ever happened to me. I've been in recovery as of November 4th, 4 years, and I've worked for Victoria for 2 years, almost 2 years. And, during that drug addiction, I made some very poor choices. But in the process of these last 4 years, I have worked on myself. I try to hold integrity, honesty, and I care about people. And I'm a Christian, and I try to be Christ-centered, not self-centered anymore. And I try to make good choices. A lot's happened. A lot of wonderful things have happened to me in the last 4 years. And 2 years of that, I've been here and I've learned kind of the process of real estate. And I really like being able to pour back into my community and help people, whether it's people relocating here or whether it's somebody, whatever it is. I like to be a part of this. It's a good career path for me because I am a people person, and I did have a shaky past, but God has delivered me from all that. And I really want to be part of this community because I think I would be a good asset because I love it and I love people.
Okay, commissioners, questions? So what do you do for Victoria right now?
I work at the front desk as an ISA. I answer phones, look for restrictions, send plat maps, communicate with clients, take messages. And I sit and listen to her, close deals.
Okay, stand by just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Who's that? Go ahead. Stand by just for a second, okay?
Are you off probation? Have you finished all of your some?
Yes, I've been off probation since 2000, November of 2019.
We're just reviewing a few documents we have. We'll be right back to you.
Hello, Deanna. Can you hear me?
I can.
My name is DJ. Thank you for being with us today. Congratulations on your recovery,
Thank you.
what you built up there. I'm glad to hear of your newness of life we found and your intent to continue your real estate work and then begin a real estate career. Describe to me, if you will, if some hard times come again, which they come for all of us, just because we made a turn, don't exempt us from challenges or stresses or loss or anything. Just describe how you might face those in the days ahead now that you have new ways of facing those as opposed to some older ways.
Okay. Now that I'm connected into the recovery group, I have 3 meetings that one of them I co-facilitate. It's as a part of my church, and these people have been in recovery for probably 30 years. And I really count on these people because everything that I deal with the stresses of, being a newlywed, having an 11-year-old daughter, whether it be work or whatever we've got going on, I've got this connection with these people that I can really lean on them when I need something. And the one thing that I've learned in my recovery is that I have to keep it in the forefront and I have to constantly work on this to be a better person. This isn't something that happened overnight, and I'm far from where I want to be, but I know that I've got people that I can count on, and I know that with prayer and consistency, that this is something that I can have the longevity, sobriety that I want with a clear mind to be able to be a good person and to be honest and to be, what I know it takes to be a good agent. The things that I've watched the agents around me sit back and do for the last year, because it's stressful. I watch them be stressed. But, we're all a Christian group here. We pray over things and we communicate together. And that connection that I have with my group, with the team that I'm a part of right now, just at the front desk, like I have people, and that's the key to this. I truly believe. Well, that in Jesus.
Thank you. All right, Steve. Just a quick question on clarification. You said that you sold
10 pills to, and it's truncated off my sheet. An undercover informant, is that?
I
correct?
did. Yes, sir.
So this is a policeman or a detective or something, or?
Yeah, he's the lead narcotics investigator here in Putnam County, who now that this is all said and done, after I got out of jail and I was working my steps, I made amends with these people. And they're, like we have homeless people that's in our area, and I communicate with them like they, like it was a horrible experience, but God worked that out for the good, because now I have a relationship with these cops, and they help, like I can help these people with the relationship and the rapport that I built, because it didn't start out good, but it's turned out okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Commissioners, any other questions for Diana? If not, let's go to Victoria. See over there, over Victoria. So.
Good morning.
If you're interested in having Diana as licensee with your company.
Well, I met Deanna at a restoration church meeting, and she is I don't know, she attracts everyone because she has that social attitude, and I'm sure that's what got her in trouble when she was young. But from the very beginning, she was just true to her heart, and everybody just is attracted to her. And as a servant, I reach out to those people, and that's kind of why we are where we're at. One of the leaders of Restoration House was helping to teach and train in her recovery program, because she was in a program that was a year-long program when I met her. And we had someone leave our office, and in our morning prayer meetings, I said, we need to pray about who we need to bring in here to help. Well, I am also an ordained minister, so I love people and I love to help grow people that desire to be helped. So with all that being said, Andrea, the leader of the Restoration House, said, I keep hearing Deanna, Deanna, Deanna. And I said, well, let's talk to her. Well, when it was presented to her in recovery, she had to write down her goals and dreams. Well, her goals and dreams before she ever knew anything about real estate was to work in real estate. So it was an automatic connection in the very beginning, because I am a shepherd, and I'm very direct. Deanna had a real hard time with me.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying, she's not going to stay with me. She's not going to stay with me. And we just little by little kept calling her up until now she's one of my best friends in the entire whole world. There's no one that I would trust more than Deanna with anything that I do, including my 11-year-old child. So with that being said, I have got to see her grow, and I can almost cry, because she has a goal and a dream, and she every morning gets up to make a difference in the world. And I just I want to come up and under her and see her be able to fly.
Other questions, Commissioner? If not, I've asked our attorney, Ms. Madlock, to explain, because this is much about education and something else, why Deanna had to come to us today.
Right, so the reason that most of the individuals that are on the screen are in attendance is because of the first rule, which is pertaining to criminal convictions. So if you have been convicted or pled guilty within the past 10 years of any felony or misdemeanors related to theft of money, services, or property, you are required to appear before the commission. Also, that applies to individuals that were disciplined by other occupational licensing boards, whether that is state, local, or federal. And then at that time, all prospective applicants are required to appear before the commission with their personal broker. Some individuals test before, some wait until they receive that information if they have been positively approved. So that is the general rule why they have to appear.
All right, Commissioners, any other questions? If not, Ms. Corbett makes a motion that Deanna be allowed to get a real estate license. Is there a second to that motion? Ms. Smith seconds that motion. We're gonna take a voice vote in a minute. Deanna, you have to get at least 4 votes out of this group for this to go forward, okay? So let's do it. Those in favor of the motion, vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations and best of luck. Make everybody happy, proud, and congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon, who's Shannon? All right, you followed that procedure, correct, Shannon? Can you muted or wait away from fire?
Shannon is candidate D.
Shannon, will you speak so I can see if I hear you? I cannot. And we'll come back to you. We'll figure this out. Let's go with Nathan. First Nathan up here on this. Let's see if we can hear you, Nathan.
I'm here.
All right, you saw this winner, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, the floor is yours. You tell us everything you'd like for us to know about your situation, what got you there, and what you're going to get out of there.
Yes, sir. So just to give you a little background of what got me here, when I was 19 years old, 8 years ago, I was a senior in high school and made a stupid decision. I took a bow tie from Dillard's and I was charged with a misdemeanor shoplifting charge. And I was on, following that, I was on probation for 2 years, which ended in August of 2015. And after that, I went to the University of Alabama and graduated with a 3.8 GPA in accounting and marketing. And since then, I've worked in insurance for the state of Tennessee, property and casualty insurance, and I've really enjoyed that, learned a lot in that process, and learned a lot about real estate while insuring homes. And I've always been really interested to work on this side of things, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to serve the state of Tennessee in the real estate market.
So you sold a bow tie.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
That's it.
Now I'm going to go back to my law director here for a minute and ask again why Nathan has to show up.
So for this particular instance, it's going to be, since you sold a bow tie, it's going to be theft of money, services, or property. And theft is one of the specific convictions that we have made the determination that they directly applies the fitness of an applicant to enter into the real estate. Especially when an individual is handling money with other different kind of things. So that is always going to be a matter after the past 10 years is always going to be a matter that requires to become a solution.
Thank you. All commissioners, so Nathan, you're a bow tie. How long ago was that, Nathan?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that?
When did you take that bow tie?
I was 19 years old. I'm 27 now, so it was 8 years ago.
And you have a license to sell insurance?
Yes, sir. I've been licensed for the past 4 years.
All right, Commissioner Sledges for Nathan. You go by Nate? Nate.
Yes, I do. Yes, sir.
Okay. Hold on.
It says on here also resisting. Did you resist arrest or is that just?
Oh no, that is correct. When I was approached by the officer, it was just a firm grab of the arm when I was exiting the store, and I did rip my arm away. I was not aware that it was a police officer at the time, but I did. It was considered a resisting arrest when I pulled my arm away there, but I didn't like run or anything.
Okay, thank you.
So right now,
Other questions?
No, sir. No, sir. Actually, I apologize. I did consume alcohol 2 weeks before I turned 21 and got a charge for that, but that's the only other thing.
So, my only question for you is when you filed with the real estate commission considering you were planning to associate with another company than the company you're.
Correct.
What tell us about that?
The reasoning behind that, sir, is that the original principal broker that I was going with, Benchmark, is out of town, and so I reached out to Vivian here to see if they were interested in having someone else work with them. She was my mom's college roommate, and I thought that she would be a good example considering that she's known me for 25 years versus the other principal broker and I have a relatively new relationship.
All right, commissioners, any questions? So is Vivian, is that correct, Miss Vivian?
That's correct.
Vivian, would you tell me your last name? I didn't get that down.
Armstrong.
I didn't get that down. All right, so you've known Nate for 25 years. Tell us why you're interested in having associated with your firm.
You said, tell you why I'm impressed with Nathan, and what else did you say?
Why you like to have him associated with your company?
Oh, absolutely. You know, Nathan is a young man who has shown his ability to go after things and get it done. He definitely has a lot of character and things that he does and people that he deals with. He is well known in the community and well loved in the community. So I'm excited to be able to work with Nathan and watch him uber succeed in real estate.
Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Armstrong? If not, AJ, you're ready to make a motion, I think.
I move to approve.
Mr. Wynn seconds that motion. So the motion on the floor, it passed, will allow Nate to go ahead and get his real estate license. So without further ado, if you're in favor of that motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote no. Motion passes unanimously. Hey, you're good to go.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, friend. Proud of you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys very much. You guys have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks.
Let's go back to Sean. I'll try you again, Sean. Let's see where you are. You, Agent Vivian, are free to go. Got what they came for. They don't get screwed. Sean,
Did you say Sean?
I thought I did, but I'm not sure. It's Sean. There we go.
Well, I'm Sean.
So, can you hear us okay?
A little bit I could make out, but I know what I need to say, judging from the last two candidates.
Well, we want to make sure we can hear you as well. Can you get me, Polly? You can turn up there.
Right. So anyways, I'm here because
Sean, are you able to turn on your speaker at all?
they're up at 100%.
Okay. Just when you're speaking, if you can just speak as loud and as close to your microphone as possible.
Okay, I'll move this forward. So excuse my giant face on the screen. So I am here. Is that better, by the way?
It's better, but it's not right. So speak slowly, distinctly, and as loud as you can.
Okay. So I am here because in 2013, I was involved in an altercation. It was at a bar. Someone had, I guess, well, we bumped into each other and I spilled their drink. And they turned around and they were kind of towering over me, like looked pretty upset and looked like they were about to, I guess, physically assault me. So, um, from my like self-defense training, I kind of made the first move and hit them once and they fell down and that was basically it. And then uh, a couple months later, police had come to my door and asked me about it, and then I'd found out that there was a warrant for my arrest, and then that was basically it. And then I was charged with I forget what the actual charge was, but I had to do 3 years probation, and I didn't have to do like any prison time or anything like that. um, so I finished my probation, I believe, in January of 2017. And during that time, and since then, I've been working for First Property Management, just doing a lot of different responsibilities. I've been working in real estate for a long time, all the different areas, starting with like construction and maintenance, up to like flipping houses. So I have a lot of experience in real estate, and I enjoy it a lot. I enjoyed helping people find new places to live and making them happy because it's definitely a big part of people's lives is where they live. I have a college degree in economics from the University of California at Santa Barbara. So I understand a lot of the financing side and all like the economic side. And it's just something I enjoy. So getting my license would help me progress my career in real estate. It's something I've taken seriously for quite a long time. I've never posed any problems or threats, as far as I'm aware, to any clients or coworkers of mine. I think I had submitted a bunch of letters from the people I've worked with for the past few years, up to like 5 years. They all seem to, I guess, tolerate me. Um, but I like my job. I like the company I work with. Ben's a great principal broker. And just getting my license would be the next step to progress my career. And it's something I'm really excited about and something I take very seriously.
Well, let's see, John, this happened in California, is that right?
Yes, it happened in California in 2013.
When did you make your way to Tennessee?
I moved to Tennessee shortly after I started probation in 2014. I moved here in September of 2014 and had to finish like the 2.5 years or a little less than 2.5 years of probation here in Tennessee. Um, and finish like I guess, the classes that the court had ordered me to take as well.
All right, Commissioners, any questions?
I'm curious about the anger management classes that you took. What do you feel like you gained from 52 sessions of anger management?
So I was ordered to take a year of anger management, so one class every week. Um, and I learned a lot from it. I mean, I've never I never thought I had a big issue with anger, but I did take a lot away from it. I mean, just not getting frustrated with things you can't help and just being patient, which in the company I work for now and the job I do now, patience is definitely a huge virtue that is required. So yeah, it's I did a year of those classes and they're pretty helpful, I would say. Just for anybody, even if you don't have anger problems, they help you manage like stress and anxiety, and it helps you make outlets for all of that.
Any questions? Okay, your proposed is Ben. Is Ben with you?
Oh yeah, Ben is right here. Sorry.
Yes.
Let's focus in on him. Ben looks like somebody who can talk loud. Can you hear us okay, Ben?
Yes, can you hear them?
Yep, just barely.
Well, would you mind speaking as close to the microphone as you can, as loudly as you can, and tell us why you're interested in Sean as a licensee with your company?
I've known Sean for about 5 years, and he has been absolutely an exemplary employee of the company. He does his work professionally. I've never had a complaint on him. I have no doubt at all that he will make a great agent.
What does your firm do, Ben?
Could you repeat that question, please?
What does your firm do? I know it says property management. Is that, are you exclusively property management?
It's our firm.
We're primarily a property management firm. We do a little bit of real estate on the side.
And what do you see Sean doing with your company that he's not doing now?
Could you repeat that question, please? I'm sorry.
That's okay. What do you see Sean doing once he has the license that he's not?
What am I going to do once I have the license?
He will continue doing what he's doing now, getting units ready to rent and taking care of the paperwork and so forth on that. He will then get involved in listing and selling real estate, hopefully.
Okay. Commissioner, same questions for Ben? If not, is there a motion? Ms. Corbett makes a motion, Mr. Moffitt seconds the motion. The motion is to allow Sean to go forward with his real estate license. Any discussion before we vote? If not, if you're in favor of that motion, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. Motion passes unanimously. Guys, we're good to go. Good luck. You don't have to stay around either if you don't want. All right, let's go back to Shannon.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Shannon.
Can you hear us now?
Now we're talking. Now we're getting there. You understand the routine?
Yes, sir.
Let's see, give us your story.
Okay, in 2014 in Las Vegas, I was charged with federal obstruction of justice because I refused to testify in a federal trial. I was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison and 3 years of probation. I got out of prison early, and I was also released from probation early on April 15th, 2019. In June of 2017, I started working for Westgate Resorts in Las Vegas as an OPC, or acquisition agent, I think is what you call it here. I got promoted to transportation host in Vegas, and then I was asked if I wanted to move out here to Tennessee to be promoted to a supervisor as a field supervisor to train and manage the new OPCs here.
So help me out. You're trying to associate yourself. You are associated with your company.
Excuse me?
Could you repeat that, please?
You're trying to get an acquisition license, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That means, so your firm will be a timeshare company.
Yes.
All right, and it's probably more appropriate question for your broker, proposed broker, but what do you think what is your job as an acquisition agent?
I greet and invite guests, tourists, some locals, depending on what county they live in, to come and view our resort in hopes that they would like to come and stay and vacation with us.
And the reason, I'm not going to wear this out, but the reason you did not want to testify in a federal case was you thought you might incriminate yourself?
Actually, it was on the advice of my attorney, because the story that I was being asked to tell was not true. And if I had testified, I was going to be charged with perjury.
Okay.
So on the advice of my attorney, I pled the Fifth Amendment and got charged with obstruction of justice.
Hi Shannon, thank you for being here. My name is PJ.
Hi.
Will you please share what you are able to share about this conviction that resulted in a 2-year stay in the federal prison? And help me understand that more,
Yes.
please.
Okay.
It's okay.
A friend of mine accidentally shot himself with a gun, and he hit his femoral artery. I was at the scene when it happened. I stuck my finger in his leg till the ambulance got there. And then after that, like, because he was a felon, the gun did not belong to him. They were trying to charge him with felon in possession of a firearm and sentence him to 35 years in prison. The gun didn't belong to anyone, but the prosecutors were trying to get me to say that it was his gun. And because I wouldn't say it was his gun, they charged me with obstruction of justice. That makes sense.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm still a little confused on your stance. You didn't want to testify. If you told the truth at a trial, what would the truth have been?
That the gun did not belong to him.
And they would have lost their case theoretically. I mean, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
The federal prosecutor was saying?
Yes. It was because the person that the trial was about had an extensive criminal history.
So, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we need to stay more so on track about the conviction and less about what happened, as that is not what we're here to look at. Like, decisions made in a trial with her and her attorney, those are considered privilege and trial strategy. So we don't know the inner workings of what that is. So I think we should just stick to the specific questions that you think would apply directly to the real estate industry. Just if we're getting a little too much in the weeds.
You want to ask a quick question, right up the like, good, oh, you can't.
I'm not saying you don't have to. It's not necessarily the question. It's just that I think the conversation is taking like a wrong turn. We want to make sure that we focus on what has happened since then, and what we want to see or know for a future possibility in another profession.
I guess I'm trying to just get to the issue of the truthfulness, and I'm trying to understand that, that's all.
No, I understand that makes sense, but want you to also think about this in that no matter what you get, it's only one side. So we're going to only hear what she is saying. And we don't know if that's exactly what happened or not. So I don't want us to make assumptions about things that we don't know are for sure facts or then findings of law. Does that help?
Sure. Thank you.
So commissioners, any other questions at the moment for Ms. Shannon? If not, I apologize, your broker is sitting, post broker is sitting beside you.
Yes, sir.
And I don't have your name, sir.
My name is Glenn Brown. I'm Director of Sales and Marketing here.
And where are you?
Where do I work?
What city are you now?
I'm in Sevierville County. I work at Westgate, Gatlinburg, or Westgate Resorts.
Got it. So if you follow my career on the real estate commission, I've always been confused about different roles people play in timeshare sales. Shannon is trying to get an acquisition license. Can you tell me what that is? What she did?
I can barely understand you, sir. Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
What does someone with an acquisition license do for a timeshare company?
Basically what she said, we have stations set up within the county in Sevierville and Pigeon Forge. And what these acquisition agents do is they invite folks to come up and look at our beautiful resort in hopes of, purchasing or staying with our resort. And we have about probably about 30 sites out there that I'm over.
And why do you want Shannon associated with your company? What do you find attractive about what she has to offer?
Well, I tell you, I read people very well. I'm a retired Marine. I did 22 years in the Marine Corps. And one of the things that I see that Shannon represents is she represents leadership. A lot of the acquisition agents, they look up to her. She's definitely a team player. She's a team leader. She leads by example. I know she has some rough times in the past, but she's really changed her life as far as, just moving forward, and I like what I'm seeing from her. She's really stepping up without being told to step up. She takes the initiative to, help people out and train people because we're building a superstar team here, and she's definitely a vital asset to our company. So I think she brings a lot as far as just leadership and structure. She brings a lot of structure to our team, and I read people very well. I've been with this company now almost 20 years, and she's definitely, probably I would say in my 20 years here, she's definitely one of the people that I've seen who've had some bumps in their life that really changed their life and really wants to make a chance and move forward. So I definitely think she would be a definite asset to our team.
Thank you, sir. Shannon, this is DJ again. I'm reading the order from the U.S. District Judge, and it says that excuse me, one moment. So it says defendant began a 3-year term of supervised release. Defendant has completely complied with the terms of supervised release. Defendant has maintained a sober and drug-free lifestyle. This was in April of 2019. At this moment in time, are you still living a drug-free lifestyle?
Yes, sir. I'm a single mom. My main focus is I moved from Vegas to Tennessee to try and build a better life for my daughter out here.
Great, congratulations. Thank you for sharing that.
Any other questions? Steve, I have a question.
the form that she filled out, part of it is redacted. Could you read what it says, the undersigned, blah, 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 read that? Sub 3. I'm trying to figure out if when the form is filled out, if there's any kind of a statement that says that it's truthful.
Only thing that I redacted is her name.
Well, mine has got, there's a sentence that says that it's
So you're looking at page 33.
right.
It's part of the, I hear you're saying part of it. I meant to intentionally leave it to that. So let me.
All right. Basic question is there anything that says when the person signs it that it's true? Because I'm not seeing that on the form.
The undersigned applicant for preliminary by Timothy Real Estate Commission is hereby authorized representatives of the commission to receive any criminal history record pertaining to the undersigned applicant may be in the files of any federal, state, or local justice agency. The undersigned applicant also certifies that all information given on this application is true, correct, and
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? And hey, Glenn, when we're through voting, I'm going to ask you a question unrelated to Shannon.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm going to ask you a question after we get through voting on something unrelated to this application.
Okay.
So don't hang up too soon. All right, commissioners, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Ferris that the applicant can allow to proceed to get an acquisition license. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Corbett, discussion. All right. We're ready to vote. If you're in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote no. And the motion passes unanimously. Mr. Brown,
Yes.
in Sevier County, is there any more room for any more tourists for people to come there?
Listen, it's so many tours here. I'll tell you, we busier now than we ever been. People don't understand Sevier County is the #1 most requested tourist attraction in America right now.
I don't even like to go there, and I like the place. It's so crowded.
It is, you ought to come up here right now. The leaves are changing colors and it's more crowded than it's ever been right now.
That's great news. Anyhow, Shannon, good luck to you. Thanks for being with us. Wait until we got the sound, we can hear you. Hope you have good luck with your business. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a 2-minute break.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ross, would you, we're going to vote on today are a series of courses that have been submitted for approval in education and the 2 or 3 instructors who would like to be certified, let's say, to teach education classes. So, Ross, before we get to that, would you spend a minute or two, just tell us how the process works? Somebody wants to get a course approved. What do we do?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that, and thank you for all our hosts to be here today with VTAR, and especially Edith Ann. Appreciate all of her hosting. I'd like to say that the education part of our license is the most important part, I think. And what we do is we actually, or I review all the providers that we'll talk about today, their courses that they have submitted, and their educators, their instructors. And I have to review those for the rules that allow them to get their permits or licenses. So each month, I'll review between, I'd say 20 to, I had 85 a couple of months ago, so that's my personal best. I have to look at these to be sure that the courses meet the statutory and rule compliance that sets up the commission and the education program. So I just want to be sure that each provider has produced a course that meets with the rules and the law, and that the course is of some benefit in the education of our licensees. And that the instructors have the background, the necessary educational background to be able to teach those courses. And if the course requires an internet or online as part of its formatting, well, then I also have to be sure that they have their RELO certificates in order that they can teach those. So in a nutshell, that's kind of it, but I do consider what we do for the commission as far as an education program to be very, very important. And I think that I haven't met or talked with anyone who feels differently about that, but I appreciate everyone and all the licensees as we go forward, and each year you need your 16 hours every 2 years. And say a word about that. 10 of those hours are electives, and we have a listing on our website. You can certainly choose and shop from that list to find your electives, or you also have to have 6 hours of the core course. And the core includes some professional responsibilities, some contracts, some property management, and some things that try to keep you up to date on all the that core outline keeps folks up to date for 2 years on the laws and rules of TREC. And that's pretty much it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ross. You have recommendations for 6 months?
I do. As the commission can see on your pads there, for this month, I recommend, and I have reviewed all providers, instructors, and courses for 01 through 016, I believe. Maybe 18, I can't see those. 16. 01 through 016, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm gonna ask that we pull out over the course 12. Well, I'll talk about it in just a second. Is there a motion balance of the courses 01 through 016 with the exception of 012 be approved? It makes a motion, down off and seconds a motion. So motion is to accept education record figures 01 through 016 with the exception of 012. Discussion. Let's vote. Those in favor of that motion with aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, but 012.
Yes, sir.
So provider is Remax University.
That's correct. They are the provider.
Now, do we have some sort of rule regulation that says entity, a company can't have its own education? What would we be thinking?
Yeah, the rule of the law requires that the provider and they be completely separate from any real estate sales or real estate operations, including the location, the firm, advertising, or anything of that nature. So I went to some lengths to ascertain that, yes, this is completely separate. They will have completely separate locations. They're not going to be in a location that also conducts real estate activity, real estate sales. So I found it to comport with the law and the rule. However, I was at first concerned about that and had several emails back and forth with Ms. Fields, person who sent this one to us.
So is it just for rebates?
No, that's another thing that back and forth, that it was understood that that's open to all licensees, not just Greenhouse.
What about the likelihood of approving a licensees
It was understood that that's not gonna be, there's no advertising or no solicitation, business or trying to recruit. It's strictly education. And it is their education arm. They are, it's a fairly large, company, but it is completely separate. The courses will be conducted separately. And that was made very clear, that on the front end, made clear to them, and they came back with enough information to let me feel comfortable about it.
All right. Is there a motion to accept records recommendation, of course, 0, sorry, 012 to stop it. I think. All right, let's vote. Those in favor of the motion, vote aye. Those opposed, no. Unanimously. All right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and Commission, there are, I believe there are 3 instructors for you this morning as well, and I find them also to work to the law and rules.
Commission. Bob makes a motion, seconds that motion. Accept the instructors. Discussion. Favor that motion, vote aye. Opposed, vote no. Passes unanimously. What else do you have?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That would be it for that. That would conclude my presentation.
Very good. Ms. Smith has reminded me that I skip one item on the agenda, which I typically do, and that's something unusual here. There's a waiver request here. Caitlin, can you tell us about that?
Yes, we actually have 2. And the first is a waiver, is your typical medical waiver request. It is for Martin Shaver. He has now and has a future expiration date of February 22nd, 2023. But he is asking for a waiver of the fee request, the late fee request that he paid of $600. He has met all the requirements and renewed, as I mentioned, but had to renew late due to medical circumstances. You can find a letter from Mr. Shaver, as well as a doctor's note concerning the request. Yes.
Mr. Chambers would like us to pass a motion that would instruct the state $600 back to be paid.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, commissioners, will you make that motion? Ms. Ford makes the motion to refund state fees from the chamber. Mr. Harris seconds that motion. Is there discussion? If not, let's vote. Those in favor of that motion, vote aye. Those opposed, no, and motion passes unanimous. All right, what's the second?
The second one you will see on your iPad. It was a late addition, so it was not sent via email. And it is not your standard waiver request. This individual was licensed with the Real Estate Commission, and their license expired at the end of December 2019. They were suspended and revoked for a lack of E&O insurance. So once you are without E&O for a year, your status moves from suspended to revoked. This request is the individual is fine to comply and pay the penalty for the E&O, but currently the laws and the rules say if you have been, got E&O and you were revoked for a year, that you have to pay the penalty and then you also have to retest. You will see from this individual's letter that they're currently trying to get their massage therapy license. So they would like to pay the penalty, but they have no intention of pursuing real estate. I think they would like to remove the revocation from their past history. Not remove it, but I guess have their status with like expired as opposed to revoked. And as far as the retesting goes, they are over the 1 year mark anyway. So if they did ever come back to real estate, they would have to comply with that regardless.
But it looks like she just wants it fixed, so it doesn't affect the massage therapy license. So would a revoked real estate license affect any other profession?
Theoretically, they ask, the status of a previous, if you have any other occupational licenses. So I think, that would probably be on there. Yeah. We often get from massage therapy licenses under the Department of Health. And at the board office, we'll often get requests to confirm license status and or any discipline. We get that from the Department of Health. We'll also get it from if somebody's pursuing, is becoming an attorney. We'll also get that from the Bar Association requesting information on their license history with real estate.
So just to be clear, she's done everything she's supposed to be.
She has not. We wanted to present it first, but she has agreed to pay the fine. She just is asking for a waiver from the retest at this time due to the fact that she is not looking to become an active real estate agent. I think she would just like her status to not reflect revoked. Would like it to reflect expired.
Yes. I mean, this is just real simple, but how can we say that we're not, we revoked our license, now she's asking us to say that we did revoke it.
I didn't, so that will still be on her history. Her history will still show the revocation. It's, her status would go to expire, her current status.
But she's probably worried about a question on the form that says, have you ever had a license revoked? Yes or no?
I think the way it is, I think it's currently asked like the current status. I think we would make it very clear that this wouldn't remove it from her history.
So there's a late fee that she wants to pay for a license she doesn't want to keep.
Yes.
That's answer the question. I'm not sure if we can plan to start with on this.
Any question for legal?
That's not an answer, but they go ahead.
So, I'll tell you, we had a conversation about this, and I don't have my Bringer book with me, but I can tell you guys the citation of the rule that we're looking at. It's gonna be 1260-01-.16. And it talks about errors and omissions of insurance, and Part 1B talks about the conditions for the issuance of a revoked license. And then it states that individuals shall do the following 4 things. reapplying for licensure, including payment of all fees for each application, pay the penalty fees, and section A, pass all required examinations for licensure, unless the commission waives such examinations, and meet any current education requirements for licensure, unless the commission waives such education requirements. I think the issue here is that it's kind of confusing because it says condition for reissuance of a license. And essentially, she doesn't want the license, but she wants to move to expired. Fair vote. So, I understand if we grant this waiver, she gets her license to expire, she would still have to retest in general. Yes. Status, but she expired December 2019, so she's already close to 2 years past expiration. So as soon as you're even one day past 1 year, you have to retest, reapply. And through that process, we do look at the education requirements, and we currently look to ensure that the individual has the current pre-licensing, and then they would have to meet all continued education requirements once licensed.
I've got the motion then. They had the motion, Ms. Corbett, and Mr. Motley, the second motion would like to accommodate this former licensee and allow her a fee, a fine, a late fee, and remove expired classification. What revocation off of her permanent record of real estate? Is that fair?
No, we're just removing it from her current status. So it's still going to show up in the licensure history that her license has been revoked. Yes, so if you were to look up this individual's name and verify it would show expired. And it would also, if you're looking at the public search, show that she had her license revoked the last year of nation's insurance.
Yes.
And if someone at the state health board reviewing her application pulls this up, they'll see expired, they'll see revoked, they'll turn around and say, Ms. Taylor, would you like me to just explain why that was revoked? And she'll tell us the same, tell them the same story we've been presenting. I would agree with that motion.
And how much is the fine late fee?
I believe it's $1,000.
I'm gonna vote yes, motion, just because I think she just thought about that spot, sorry. All right, other discussion. Listen. She doesn't have it, let's put it that way. All right, motion on the floor is to grant the request of,
So if I pull up her name on the show, remote and expired, what's it going to show?
So the status would show, if this motion was to be approved, the status would show expired. The disciplinary history would have the revocation from the, insurance. And right now, if you were to look her up, her status is revoked.
Question for, Anna. So if we accept $1,000, I don't think we ought to be, I think we ought to be totally clear with her under what premise we're accepting 1,000, meaning I don't think she should come back and expect something just because she paid us $1,000 to get some result on a form that may not happen. So is that?
No, I still think that would be, what would be required. So what she is saying at this point are the fees associated related to the lapse errors and emissions insurance. Should not pay the fees associated with licensure. So like renewing your license or taking the course of those kind of things, that has not been paid for.
But 1,000 contemplates you're going to continue on in the real estate business, not that you're not going to continue on.
That
So,
is typically
is
what
that correct?
happens, yes.
Yeah, this microphone fence. At the time. The $1,000 is a fee that she has not paid from day effect 2019.
She has paid it at this point, but it is from 2019. The cycle where she was revoked.
But she paid it, it was because of the E&O insurance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. So, yeah, you would essentially be telling her, yes, you can move your license into expired status, but if she were to ever come back and want to reapply for licensure or reinstate the license, she would still have to comply with all of the current requirements.
It's already paid.
Yes. Maybe not,
If she hasn't paid it,
maybe not.
so I don't know.
Oh.
What about part of the board? It's a waste of money.
She was ready to pay, and then we discussed this with the legal and the need for it to be presented to the commission. And so we have asked, hold on, to see what the commission's inclined. So what are the chances of her not getting her defense here if you like? If it shows that it's revoked instead of signed? I don't know that. I don't know. They operate like us, they might have a before their board. Okay, I'm gonna advocate for. Great. I was just going to explain, so it would be what we were talking about earlier, the individuals that had informal appearances. So since she is applying for a massage therapy license, that is another occupational license, it's by the Department of Health. So if they're like us, if we were to have someone that comes in this situation, they would have to appear before us because they have had discipline from any federal, local, or state occupational licensing. So it's not going to be removed from her licensure history, but I don't know how the Department of Health handles those communications on individual sites of the applications. Here's one thing. With her opportunity. They really take that and have to. She would not, she would say, take my chance. Right, is you could say, no, she doesn't want to pay it, so her license is then just for the state of those status. And her license is only going to remove from revoked status if you approve it today. And after it's approved, she pays.
So I don't think we've ever done this before.
I haven't.
It's wordsmith, right? We'll let her have herself out of the schedule.
I don't know, right, I don't know her reasoning behind it, but I mean, everyone has one, so I don't know.
It's more interesting precedent.
I don't think it's happened before, but I will say based on that rule that, there are 4 requirements for the issuance of a license. And it says payment of all fees for an application and payment of any fees for errors and emissions insurance. It says that passing examinations for licensure and meeting any requirements for licensure is, those to be waived by the commission if you so choose.
So if we wanted to say, you don't have to pay $1,000 for this way to change.
No, I don't think there, how it's written, I do not see discretion for the candidates. I see discretion for examinations and for education, because the language that follows those particular rule sections said unless the commission waives such examination or unless the commission waives such education requirements. I don't think that you can waive this.
All right, so, and stopping myself, we've got somebody ready to go $1,000 license status. So maybe I won't speak against the motion anymore. Maybe if you want to spend it, spend it, or I think. Okay, yeah, additional discussion. Legal and recommendation.
No.
Yeah. All right, the motion on the floor is to accept the $1,000 grant request and get the status of the license.
Sorry.
Okay, that's the motion. Any more discussion? I'll try to voice for it. Ms. Forrest, if you're in favor of the motion, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Motion passes on 5 aye, 1 vote. Mr. Wade votes no. Let's move on. We're taking to your report at this point.
Okay, so thank you, first of all, everyone, for bearing with us in the technology and for welcoming us to East Tennessee. I just have a couple updates for the commission. I wanted to revisit the 2022 calendar. So you'll see that as attachment 6A on your iPads. Aaron also resent this document. There's a couple dates in particular that I wanted to re-review with the commission. One being the April commission meeting dates. Those are going to conflict with the Willow. And so I think that those will need to be moved to April 13th and April 14th. Anyone have an issue with that? I'm not really sure why we picked the 6th and the 7th to begin with, but Easter is on the 17th, if that, if somebody typically goes somewhere for Easter. The Aurora meeting is that whole week. I think the commissioning is currently scheduled. And Savannah, and it is April 4th through April 8th. Does anybody have an issue with that change? Okay, 2 other dates that I wanted to look at. I know we had previously discussed that the annual Aurora conference is going to be in Nashville next fall. And I know there was some discussion of trying to group our meeting at the same time. And so we now know that that conference is going to be August 29th through September 2nd. So I don't know if the commission would be inclined to move the September meeting up a week. That would put August and September very close. So currently we have the September meeting scheduled for September 7th and September 8th. And the Aurora annual conference that will be in Nashville, that I know we can discuss the commission participating in, is August 29th through September 2nd. It's the full week prior.
Set 2 weeks of run.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just telling you guys when the dates are because I do know regardless, August and September, that would be a lot with August meeting, the Royal Conference, and the September meeting. So, yes. So, potentially moving it would actually be an August date. It would be, um, yes, August 31st and September 1st. Is there any objections?
We're working on the premise that commission would like to be in session at the same time we're on the speaking match.
I think we're operating on the premise that the commission would participate in the annual conference being that in Nashville and in Tennessee.
So if we're having a meeting, set up briefly this station. Hello.
So I think if we don't bring that check, we could make sure that it was just a commission meeting. And no formal hearings, it would just be the business that needs to be addressed, so that might have been.
The chair is ambivalent about it because here in the bid. So I'll just sit here and listen. Everybody else has.
So we always want your input. And I think you're banking on the fact that the appointments will be handled.
So, want to just put this off in mind, and see what other commissioners might feel strong about, yes or no, next.
We would like to get a schedule posted. I think we could post the schedule and then, if, we're still pretty far out, so if anybody went back and had a change of heart, we could readdress certain dates. And APD for hearing purposes needs to know.
So, the three of you, in particular, participate. We didn't have a meeting during the conference. On this, I kind of sense that TREC might help organize the summits. We call on to do that.
So I guess too then is most of our work for the meeting is done the week prior because we have to do all the work to get it organized the week before. So from a preparation standpoint, it won't affect it. I do think maybe the commission could be flexible once we find out the schedule and we could try to arrange our meeting in a time that works. Potentially outside the state.
So, for those listening in Arello, this acronym stands for the Association of Real Estate Licensed Law Officials. We are all members of Arello. We are all licensed law officials. Anybody know that? And one of our members on this commission is the president, national president, international president of Arello, which is not with us today, but she'll be busy with this convention in Nashville. So what we're trying to do is figure out mission, fellow, and meet simultaneously to everything and accommodate everybody's schedule.
This would be outside. I just had another thought. This would be outside of the normal typical schedules, but typically in the past, the flow of the Arello schedule has been the first day is kind of a welcome arrival day. And so everybody gets there and the first session isn't until let's just say 5 in the afternoon, 5 in the evening. So if the commission is flexible, we could have a meeting that morning, and then it would conflict with the scheduled events, but it would get those commissioners that wanted to participate in a real life here. So I think it's probably good to wait for Marcia. Just another thought.
So let's put this off on this one.
So what if we got the dates posted, held off on changing September? Okay, so does anybody object to updating April to the 13th and 14th? So we'll make that change, keep everything else the same for now. The only other date I was gonna mention was I know we had a lot of conflicts this month, in particular with fall break. I tried to look at National Fall Break and it's not posted yet for 2022. So that's just another date that I have wanted the commissioners to look into, especially those that might be affected by fall break, but I think if you're here, you're not affected, so.
You just make a note about October, we're gonna wait and see what's.
I would like to, if possible, I think it makes sense to not do it when, when commissioners are affected by fall.
All right. What else do we have?
I think we will discuss the November meeting, at a later time in the meeting. I know there had been a lot of discussion about, we had only scheduled November for a one-day meeting. And we potentially would have someone hearing and a meeting. And has something to present later in the meeting that if the commission wants to accept this, then we can, stick to just the one thing. So. Yeah.
You're not about that.
Yeah, this, I'm talking about November 2021. Yeah.
And last time we talked about November 2021, it's kind of up in the air about when we would have whether we'd have a 2-day meeting, 1-day meeting.
Correct.
Based on whether or not we would have a formal hearing, judge one bit or 20, all those variables.
Yes.
And so Anna holds the key to this at this point, and she can.
I would say the commission holds the key. Anna can present the commission with the key.
You want to talk about it now? Or wait?
It doesn't matter.
Let's get it now. If that's not.
Okay. So we have a summary suspension that was, if you remember the emergency meeting in April. And that matter was set for hearing, on the 10th or whatever day the meetings. And since then I have, spoken with the respondent's attorney. And so, as you know, if we are offered a settlement agreement, we're to present it to you. So I do have a settlement offer today for you guys to consider.
You remind us about the big picture of what the case is about.
Sure. The big picture is that an affiliate broker was charged with theft and criminal money laundering and another matter. It had to do with selling the property and funds not being dispersed and possibly being stolen. And so at the time we found out about that, when the individual was indicted, we went ahead and held an emergency meeting and summarily suspended that person. So summary suspensions only happen when we're looking at the health, welfare, and safety of the individuals. So their summary suspension like this happened. So the person's license right now is suspended, but you're required to hold a formal hearing or come to an agreement at the end, because the summary suspension doesn't really kind of give the respondent or other party the opportunity to present their side of the case. So that was set for the November meeting. And I'll show you the details of the settlement offer. So
One second. Okay, I'll just read you what is written. So the affiliate broker in this particular matter is going to voluntarily surrender their license. And it states that it's the same as revocation. So it states respondents shall not apply for any new license issued by the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, period. They understand and acknowledge this voluntary surrender has the same effect as revocation. And then I state that if for some reason the individual can reapply, or if it was determined by a court that like a permanent ban is not something that can happen, we included stipulations. So if the individual ever reapplies, they would be considered a new applicant. And before anything happens on the front end, they would have to submit new fingerprints and disciplinary sanctions and any disciplinary sanctions that they have. Then at that moment, after we receive those documents, the respondent has to appear before the commission in an informal appearance capacity. And so that's like a blanket become, it's not gonna be, there's not the 10-year look back, there's a requirement because we put it in the statute, in the order. And then it states after that, testing, if that was to be approved at the informal hearing, the person would have successful completion of all education. So they would have to retest and reapply. So essentially they're starting from the very beginning of what their license stated. And then also the additional stipulation is that they would pay the filing fee for the matter, which is $200.
So, is there a criminal case going on? This,
Correct. So we have ongoing criminal and civil litigation that is going on. We do not have final dispositions for those matters. And so because of that, the individual was innocent until proven guilty.
So, if it went to a formal hearing, is anything more serious? It sounds to me like settlement is about us.
Yeah, I tried to make it that way. I thought about literally everything that I've learned from my hearings thus far. So I don't know what else you could get from a formal hearing, because this would just mean the respondent's license is revoked. They can never have a real estate license again. They can't have one right now. It says they can't have one again. It would have to be by like a court order, or someone saying, oh, you cannot give someone a lifetime ban for real estate. And so if that were to ever happen, they would come back as a new applicant. They do fingerprints and discipline. Once you get those results, they would come before the commission first before they could proceed. And so if you said yes, then they would proceed with testing. If you said no, the rule as it's written right now is that they wouldn't be able to reapply again for 6 months.
Couple of tweets, maybe. What about putting it in? The person has, I don't know, but 10 years or 20 years, or I don't know how old the person is. Just to have, what you're doing is basically.
It's my understanding that the respondent does not plan to practice.
It's going to be a date, but we'll put a date on it. So it's been hanging out there forever. That's just me. The other thing would be on the fee, not add language that says whatever the fee is and that particular. So went up on 200 and it's.
No, so we don't have a single penalty associated with this. The $200 would be the amount of money that we filed with the Administrative Procedures Division when we have those security charges. So that is actually a reimbursement of our own.
Things back.
Yes.
So the assignment was agreed to this terms.
Yes, and their attorney, I double checked and confirmed that they were okay with proceeding with the presentation today, and they said yes.
So capital elements commission also agrees with this.
Correct. After that would happen, I would get, Chairman Reese to sign a document, send it over to the respondent's attorney, and I would sign it, file it with the Administrative Procedures Division, and then I would file, a motion for voluntary dismissal, so that we wouldn't have a hearing.
What you plan to do. Set and motion. Hey, Mr. Wynn, second, Ms. Norman is to accept it as field. Is there discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor of that motion, please vote aye. Those opposed, no. Yes, right, Caleb, back to you for a second. Good. Plan on
Here I am back on the schedule. There has previously in past years been some discussion on whether the commission wanted to keep the December meeting. And so I don't know if we want to discuss that at this time. It's relatively just the way the dates fall, November and December. They're just about 2 weeks apart. So if the commission was inclined to cancel the December meeting, we would still, yeah. Talking about this December, I'm sorry. We're back in 2021.
So it would be one thing. I mean, if we had.
We do not have any hearings scheduled currently for December.
But mention we have items in our schedule that is in. It's fun. Certainly. December's a 3 days of mine. We had a meeting 3 weeks before that. I don't think it would put legal, put you out. Like, double up. Kind of a lot.
So November and January could eventually be longer.
Anybody feel strong about sitting day or one?
Okay, and maybe we'll just go ahead and have the goal sort of plan that December could be canceled and put any additional cases on November that could eventually go over.
I would make this something that will be canceled.
I'll go out and then go ahead and say, let's December, I'll do that. But you guys prepared. We can try it this year. Goes.
Making that motion?
I'm looking to make that super. I think we're 2021. Is there a second? That, all right, that motion is probably on the floor now. We have to have 4 out of 6 votes to pass this vote. So far, I have motion the second is a discussion. No, let's vote. Let's just do a roll call for him. Wait, I don't know this today.
You want to mix things up?
If you're in favor of the motion, all please vote aye. Yes.
Commissioner Ferris, Commissioner Gwynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Moffett,
Yeah.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Corbett, Chairman Reese.
Yes. You know how easy that was, there's gonna be some big problem. So we'll have a December meeting, we should expect a longer November meeting and longer January. What else, man?
That's all that I have.
We have stuff. So we just sent out a newsletter.
Correct.
I hope everybody is getting that newsletter, it comes from the executive director, has great information, and they quickly get it this one. If they don't get it, how can they?
They would need to, if they're a licensee, they would need to make sure that they have the correct license on their full profile. If they're a non-licensee, they can reach out to us at trec.info@smin.gov and just let me know if they would like to be signed up and include their email address, and I can get non-licensee signed up. But currently, we pull the listing from our license files and pull the email address that we have on file from their license. You can opt out. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can.
We also have exciting information apparently about their TN.gov, that Mr. Hills for years was adamant about getting improved. Tell us about the improvements.
So in the newsletter, I could go into 2 updates that are now available on our core licensing system. So one is we're moving the public search to the same core.team.gov page. You can now click on public search is what it's called, and it's in the top right hand corner of core.team.gov. It allows for more searchable options. You can search by a person's name, by the profession, by their license number. You can pull, if you want, all real estate agents that live in Putnam County, you can pull that. So it has a little bit more functionality about the way in which you're able to pull. And also now under the firm, you can see who the principal broker of the firm is and who all affiliated agents are with the firm. If you know just the agent, you have to go to the agent's page, and then that will tell you their firm, and then there you could search the firm to find the principal broker and then any other affiliated agents. So it is improved from Verify. There's still a couple things that we're looking to add that do require a little bit more work to change. But for now, I know for a long time people have wanted to see who's the principal broker of the firm and then also agents with that firm. So you're now able to see that. The other update is what we call authorized user. If you're somebody that has an office manager that helps you manage your license, you can now delegate access in core, which is what we would like people to do. I think historically, some people maybe have done this by just giving a password or giving a login. But now you can actually delegate access to that staff member to allow them to help you renew your license, transfer your license, request a license certification, any transaction that the licensee can do, the authorized user can also do. You can remove access at any time. And then the authorized user can also remove themselves at any time. There is a caveat, the licensee is still fully responsible for meeting all the requirements. It's just an option for offices that are potentially already set up that way.
That's good news. Here's an agent who license or her license expire when somebody else decides real estate, right? The authorized agent would be.
There is a disclaimer at the bottom that the licensee is still fully responsible for their license. So if they don't meet the requirements, I'm sure they could blame somebody else, but it's still ultimately their responsibility by the laws and rules.
So any other questions for me? Oh, just for a second, in your report, you talk about the number of licenses active, suspended. And it looks to me like we got about 41,000 active real estate licenses. About 4,500 firms.
Yeah, a little more.
Got 5,500. Got just under 1,000 suspended.
That's correct.
So I don't know what all that adds up to, but it's a lot of bank licenses. It seems to me last time we were in Eastwood, we've probably been 5 years from up there. We can hear a lot of people complaining about the real estate commission not getting stuff processed. But I never hear those complaints. So your staff, if it does, and there are however many people you have, it's great work, at least from that perspective. I don't know here afterwards if people have complaints, but I doubt it. You guys are doing.
Yes, we staff of 10, so it's not a huge staff, but we are able to manage the license. And right now, we're averaging around less than 7 days for an initial application. So if you have a new candidate and it takes more than 7 days, then it's likely that they're missing a requirement, and that we probably reach out. We occasionally, everybody gets your email, but so if you have everything you need, you should be licensed within just a couple of days.
Anything else with executive? All right, next Commissioner's going to give your presentations from 2 attorneys who handle complaints. As I understand the process, so where do you think? Okay, she wants to do it. So each month, the real estate commission receives dozens of complaints. This month, as an example, we're getting about 60 complaints, 63 complaints. It's important to know that Clinton City Real Estate Commission, that eventually works one of these 2 attorneys right here, who researches complaint, talks to the complainant, perhaps talks to the respondent, perhaps, and at some point, takes all the detail and information they've accumulated, puts it to a narrative, which is then, that's not right, but every party in the narrative is anonymous. We have no idea who we're talking about. Here, we don't know what part of the state they're from, we don't know what state company we work for. These 2 attorneys and others have done a great job over the years, giving us the facts without giving us any specific circumstances. And it's up to this commission to make a decision on how to handle that complaint. Fortunately, a couple of things. If the attorneys make a recommendation, so we have something to start from. Recommendation might be dismiss the case, offer a simple penalty of $1,000, suspend the license, and we'll do the complaint. Then this commission will make a decision. Raise the council, modify council recommendation, reject council recommendation, any number of things could happen. Here's the good news, from your perspective and the commission's perspective. Recently, this commission has adopted a consent calendar. So, if when I read one of the cases, say it's about the 10th, I agree with his recommendation. Every other commission independently with his recommendation. And we'll say, okay, no need to talk about it out loud, let's put it on a consent. All those that everybody agrees with at one time. Here's past, but every one of them. Today we have 63 complaints unless someone can add this place. And motion in a moment, we're going to find out how many cases are going to be pulled with consent calendar. got that? All right. Aaron Smith right there is, he go right. With him. So what cases do we have?
Okay, here we go. We have case number 13, 17, 25, 26, 40, and 44. 13 through 40 were pulled from briefs, and 44 was pulled by Commissioner Smith. I have you guys for you.
I do have.
The budget. You have something for?
Well, I had that one. Well, I just followed up with it. So, cases that have been asked to be pulled, this is 13, 17, 6, 40, and 40. Those of you in the audience that did it bad, how to accept the motion that's not to accept 57 recommendations council, which means there are 57 cases for us to discuss. We only have 6 cases to discuss. That's how you have to think about it. Now, it's pretty close, but they get complicated. I don't know. We're going to see. All right. Is there a motion to accept council's recommendation and accept council's recommendation on cases 1 through 63, with the exception of 13, 17, 25, 26, 40, and 44? Ms. Smith makes that motion, and Ms. Porter seconds that motion. Is there a discussion? If not, let's vote. Vote aye. Aye. Opposed, no. That motion passes. We have just handled 57 of the 63 cases. Okay. Now we're on case 13. Let's go here. So, Dennis, if you don't mind, would you tell us what this is about? This is an interesting case.
This record for the agency. Interesting, yes. I'm not really sure what it's about tonight. It's a couple of seasonal people who live in an RV park that are both, or all three, are licensees. 2 apparently live in Florida and 1 resides in Kentucky, but some part of the year they're all 3 in this RV park. I think the real issue, there's a couple of things that bring up sort of ancillary matters. The crux of the complaint is whether or not this is really a branch office. And you may have some other questions, but let's just look at what I think, extrapolating from this source. But the branch office is, as you can see from my summary, barely meets the definition that I think it's the definition, at least based on what I saw. And I say saw, it would have been very helpful if the complaint included photographs. I think that would, the best I can do is, Google Maps. I couldn't get into the, couldn't get past the driveway. So,
Gross. I probably got, I'll bring the brass to the skin. But would you mind reading this?
We've done it before.
I know, but this is such a neat.
So this will be complaint number 2020-06-031. The complaint is lodged by 2 retired Florida realtors. One of both lived part of the year in Tennessee. The respondent is a TREC licensee. The complainant's claim the respondent, quote, does its best to keep other realtors out, close quotes. They allege he only offers $1 commission to other realtors to sell his listings and keeps 6% to 8% to himself. According to the complainants, the respondent tells other realtors he is the only one allowed to sell the park. I have put in the parking provision. Park is an RV or camper park in East Tennessee. Council looked it up on Both complainants live seasonally in the same apartment, compete with the respondent. And I'm personally, really professional. The complainant's going to stay, the respondent uses his personal line as his branch office. Respondent's permanent address is Kentucky. Complainant alleges that office is a camper and it does have a physical address associated with it. Say the respondent uses a full-time realtor on site and wants complainant rather than complaint contains no photographs of the camper mark or camper lives as an officer. Respondent says the $1 fee is something that he asks the seller if they want to offer to another agent. He says that when he takes the listing, he puts this in the listing agreement and it's pointed out to the provided. But then he denies that he has ever said he was the only person allowed to sell the park in terms of what type of office is kept at the park. Respondent said the motion to contracts are done in the camper. The park office, at least at one time, had a sign display that complied with the applicable statute. However, the sign violated the park rules, was taken down. The respondent says he now has a license plate that displays the building name as well as 2 golf carts that display the name parked outside the camper. This appears, although loosely, to meet the requirements for a branch office under TREC rules 1260.02 3 Part A. Without any further evidence to the contrary, the respondent's office in the park appears to meet the requirements for a branch office under Tennessee Code Title 62, Chapter 13, 309A, B, and 1260.02 A.
So what are they selling?
That's a good question. And lost in all of this, that they did not identify what type of properties were being sold. But, and I say that because it sort of get wrapped up in all of the other things. That's something that, and I don't know that it's inside the park. That would appear to be the case, but I don't get the sense with an RV park that usually that's done on a rental basis. You sort of had rent space for your, whatever, your camper, your trailer. But I would say that we don't conclusively know what type of properties it is.
So I've heard of some RV parks where you can buy. Maybe that's what you sell, but you show people a golf cart, signs on the side of the golf cart. I can't imagine going.
I would say it's probably.
It seems like they have something like it. So.
Yes.
It does sound.
It wasn't to me, but to my exception here. Because this generates me in all this discussion.
What are the requirements for branch office? You have to have a principal broker.
Well, I'm looking at our rules. This is not the statute. I'll pull this up first. So, and it references the statute. So, branch offices, for purposes of Code Annotated, Title 62, Chapter 39, the licensee is deemed to maintain a branch if the licensee, 1, advertises the office in any manner for the purpose of attracting the public. 2, has a mail drop at the office which is registered with and served by the United States Postal Service. 4, invites or solicits telephone calls to the office by such means as advertising or listing a telephone.
Do you think it's
assuming that he has and as I mentioned in the summary, there is someone who's there. No, they didn't. We don't have any indication that they're a principal broker, but be presented.
commissioners? Does the gentleman have a non-resident license?
That's in Kentucky. He's licensed there as well, do we know that?
Don't know that. And we'll look it up in the meantime, but no, there was no reference to him having a license in Kentucky as well. And much the same with the complainants who live in Florida most of the time. I don't know. Florida license. Some form of consideration, like $1. So there's some value.
So I can suspect that, let's say the guy had 2 golf carts. There's various camper sites for sale. It's the bottom and down. And he charges a commission. Other people who might want to sell that camper site say, well, we try selling it. He says, no. Which in some schools would cause you to think he's trying to keep all the commission for himself. Right? I don't know what if we're just guessing here, if what it costs. 2-3% of that is $1 a lot less. So I think he's complaining that the guy's not trying to cooperate. I don't know. I don't see a whole lot over here. I just find the circumstances in this, to say the least.
And it does indicate from license information on the board that he is a Kentucky licensee, but the address is a Kentucky address. So one would assume license profile.
So let's say something else. Your recommendation, council, is to do sustain this, right?
Yes.
Who accept council recommendation? Move, accept. Thank you, Stevie. Second, appreciate it. Both on the boards accept council recommendation and close or dismiss case 13. Favor that motion, vote aye. If you opposed, vote no. Motion passes. And 17 will take much less time. All I want to mention, this has to do with somebody complaining about a spouse, a former spouse, it's the child's. It's not understanding that's an automatic suspension. We don't have to get this. Is that right? The state takes care of it.
Yes.
So the reason we have city child support cases in my opinion is because there's an automatic suspension, the same as paying student loans back. Is that right? Did you get mine?
There's been some change to the student loan, but yes, historically, student loans and child support, if you had so many default payments on either, and it did affect the license, and it was automatic suspension for child support or student loans.
I just want to break up this for a second. This is totally accepted. Smith, second, Ms. Corbett, council recommendation out of this case, this Smith's report. Those in favor of the motion, but aye. Aye. This may take just a little bit, but we have a case where it was presented to us initially, commission had a recommendation from legal to assess a $4,000. Commission, after discussing the file, decided to assess $8,000. which point the respondent, licensee, may or may not have hired an attorney, because the advantage of our attention. Attorney has been talking to the state's attorney about this case. The state's attorney has come back and said there are circumstances that cause us to reevaluate our recommendation of your decision, primarily the fact that the person we tried to assess as really didn't open business at a period of time when certain events occurred. And so now council is recommending assess a $500 sentence. So we've gone from 4,000 to 8,000 back to 500. Now here's the thing, but I don't like that sense. I think that the original respondent's response contradicts what the attorney told you at your time. So, if I read it right, the respondent's attorney said that the respondent had sold the business prior to those checks being written. Well, in her original response, I put it back to the narrative on 5. The respondent says she wrote the checks. I'm reading back now. Yeah.
It does say that the respondent provided response to the security advisory return that's in it when the property has been made. Checks were well, some of the information in the original response was actually from the new management. So they were the new entity, whoever that person is, began to correspond with the complaint. So, and seeing copies of the check, I was able to look at the dates, and it was a date after the sale. And the individual with whom the complaint was talking with was a different person than the original respondent.
So, that was not what the complaint was about.
It was, but I think that the original summary, sort of lumped a response as from the original respondent, when in fact it's not the respondent, it's someone else who owns the business, the new owner.
You think it was the new owner checks with the tenant's name?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that based on what I saw. Now, as I mentioned with the unauthorized power washing, if that happened under the original respondent. And admittedly, there were some issues about how the plaintiff was going to receive some of the documents versus being mailed. Well, mail versus getting it through this portal. And some people don't like using computers and the internet, so sometimes getting it into a portal is usually really.
From $8,000 symbol.
I was uncomfortable when I saw the checks were written to the tenant and
Care of.
did that concern me?
Well, it depends on how it was supposed to be reissued. On the one hand, the security deposit belongs to the tenant. But if there was some other prior agreement that said, no, those will come to me and I will dole money out to the tenant, then that's the way it should have been done. What this complaint ultimately had to do was fly, this is now a statement. She had to fly from California to Tennessee to get bond tenants to get negotiated checks. So negotiate literally on the check itself so that she could get I was comfortable with the process, but I think the issue is more if it was someone else, and it was, who signed checks, not responded. Now, how much was discussed in the handoff, we'll never review or just where they involved handoff of accounts and whatnot.
So I'm thinking about, you don't have a complaint against the new owner this morning, but the gentleman's point, the new owner played a game, so she transferred the security deposit to the new. There was no way this new management company could deposit those checks or cash those checks if there was damage done by the tenant. I state that correctly. So let's the tenant sign the check as well.
Right.
I'll be playing. I'm not going to have to go for 8,500. I'm thinking about this new owner, whether or not I go issue against that person for basically
The back half of this.
yeah, basically not treating people with good pay. She's encumbering money, or he's encumbering money. So I might want to talk about that after we end this. So is there a motion to accept the council's recommendation, offering $500 for failure to exercise reasonable skill and care, failure to provide service with honesty and good faith? So it's such a motion. Discussion. Council, what do you think, Steve?
Wondering if the 500 is the 500 the max. We do 1,000.
You do it out.
Good, like, two things.
You could make two instances since there were two checks. Well, we're not talking about checks, but we're talking about the power washing and whatever collection of problems that were received with the documents to the court. Those would be the only things that I could see that were instances that were on the respondent's watch prior to the sale.
I make a motion that we accept council exception of the 500 and increase it to 1,000.
Second.
No.
Second motion. I don't, give you one last chance. I'm still trying, second, discuss, you can vote against or second, I don't. Yeah, okay, it's seconds, this one. Thank you for seconding, right? Should I pull it? I'm sure this point to get a good, crisp understanding of what you discovered. Trying to be on the same page of what you know, and may be prepared to accept your recommendation. I'm all ears again. Did you just, you help me understand what? I'm saying you can see a change here.
So the change is when the checks were signed from the property management to the, well, what ultimately was the tenants, but when they mailed out, that action was done by this new entity. So not the respondent. So there was a sale in between the beginning of the complaint effectively and August, late July, sometime in August. I believe the checks, what did I say on there? The checks are dated August 7th, and business was sold on July 27th. So we had a change in ownership prior to these checks going out in such a way that created problems for the complainant and that she had to travel from California to Tennessee in order to checks negotiated to get the money. But prior to that, we had this, while she was still the owner, pressure washing. And along with having some problems with documents. And those documents will be information about the tenants. Some of the things that she believed were protected by the FCRA, which in fact, I don't know about it. There may be some issues that would prevent certain things from being disclosed. Does that help? Essentially, there's just there's a break in chain of events. Not chain of events, but there's a break in ownership.
Okay, the floor has a motion, thanks for the support, but that motion is to offer the sign the small symbol, all the detail of this with that. Further discussion on the motion. Okay, no, that's perfect. But you can offer a substitute. At this point.
Thank you, Chairman. I move to accept council recommendation on the case.
Second, the substitute. Second. Since the subject motion is from 9 to line per second, about 5 seconds. So the chair is going to rule that motion fails, make it to the table, back to the original motion, which involves $1,000 civil penalty. Any further discussion? It is $1,000. So 2,000. Substitute motion that changes 1,000. Yeah, that'll be down from 8,000 to 4,500. Okay, so the motion, the substitute motion on the floor right now is that civil penalty offer be $2,000. And that motion, the substitute motion is made, is for the second. If the motion passes, I think 4 votes pass, we're done with this topic. If it fails, less than 4 votes, then we'll go back to the original motion, which is $1,000. I got the, how that's going to work. You do a roll call for their day. Just for the heck of it. If they're in favor of the motion of 2,000, substitute motion, which involves a $2,000, yes. If they're opposed to vote.
Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Gwynn.
No.
Commissioner Moffitt.
Yeah.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Corbett. Chairman Grease.
Yes. So if the chair of that motion passes, we're done with this topic. Now, let's just for the record, so the offer 2,000, a settlement, civil penalty of $2,000 to go back to the licensee. Licensee has every right to reject that offer and insist on a formal hearing. We have occasionally because litigator would say usually a attorney for the responding, yet it's an administrative law judge, court of wonders. That's what we generally do on a second day of meetings. So it's not necessarily any case. It's not going to have to agree to that unless they got in trouble with it. Okay. Yes. All we got now is something. So the new brought up the topic that the guy might have, we may have mishandled funds by checks making to 2 parties. So what do y'all think about that? This is something you all heard this thing. Go through with this. The state will be complaint. We can open up the complaint. So if I understand what is represented, new owner attempt to pass the security checks, deposits to the new property manager. Wrote the checks to the tenant by property manager. So, that's why this guy got off $8,000.
So security deposit checks were made out to the individual tenants care of the complainant. So both parties' names were on the checks, and that's what created.
And both would have to sign it.
And you have tenants.
It's always been my experience when property management company hands off business to a new property. Checks are transferred to escrow account to property management. I think it worked. For open cases. I need a motion to do. This Smith, so we open up and against the new owner of this property management. Is there a second? Off the second, said, good discussion. What's the complaint? It has to do with not remitting. They permitted the money. They put a string on it. I put the tenant saying on the security deposit. So it was for the, in my opinion, if there's damage, the security deposit or something reduced. Couldn't cash the check to do it, as the tenant would have to also sign.
Question, the new property management company is applying, did you check out the way you did?
Well, we could simply pick up the responsibility for that, handle somebody else's money. It's reasonable skill here, but there's also some money issues. And exactly, I totally understand.
Well, you have 6213-312, which is failure to return the security deposit money to the complainant and failure to exercise reasonable skill. And again, failure to timely account for trust fund deposits, all of those.
So it's the complaint, all of those things.
It could be both of them.
It could be.
Well, how is it not exercising care about making check out wrong?
I think it appears to me, we don't put the case response if somebody could have that claim. It was upset that they hadn't, so they had to pass the security deposit, so they encumbered the security deposit.
They were making a lot of it.
Yeah. That's what we're, I don't really respond to that. We could use both of those items as the basis for the complaint.
So when we go with the complaint, it's gonna say what?
Well, it's like any other. Go ahead.
So when we administratively open a complaint, typically in a situation like this, we will be the complainant, it'll say so there might be a solicitation. There might be a little information, but we're also going to attach this complaint and any documents that go with it to the complaint that we're administratively open.
So we're gonna put in the complaint, reasons don't care, failure to remit money to property.
So those would be violations afterwards. After the complaint is filed, it will be sent to the respondent for response to see what they have to say about the situation. And then after that comes back, it would be referred to the legal division. The attorney that is reviewing the matter can then look at reasonable skill care or timely reporting of earnest money. Like when we administratively open a complaint, it is not, it's all the laws and rules are.
We know how much to check before.
leave animated. So we have one that was for 1,200.
So, what the contract policy is perfect, and the respondent, they send back a copy of the management that says, take the security deposit to make that up purpose, and that is all. So the motion is we open administrative legal claim. Just any discussion, further discussion. If not, let's vote. Those in favor of that motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, vote no. That's 5. I think the vote is opposed. All right, next item. 6. So this again is in case. Okay, we can focus on one part of it. So the original commitment decision is to authorize an investment case proceeding to settle by consent order with the also open. New recommendation suggests $500 from the thousand. Let's say we think about the principal program. So are you recommending you take that off?
That one actually has been, it's been processed, when that principal broker has been notified, I think that it's been where it's at exactly. If that answers the question about the principal broker.
You recommend the side on the principal. But if you're saying that process is.
Yes. That's right, right. Because this is only to address the affiliate brokers.
All right, it's a motion to accept council. It says. If your question ask council why.
The principal broker actually contacted me and essentially was, this is my ability to first go around, this is taking down my original, part of it's also my original recommendation. So I thought much the same thing before talking.
So council has part bought into this plea from principal broker, who's also got a complaint filed against him for murder. So that's fine.
That's it.
So, if I say the person, you vote on that, if they second, ask to accept council. That's what's on the floor. Further discussion. I will vote in, those in favor of the motion, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Vote carries. Thank you, guys. Then the same thing, both got on the road, national or parcel. I don't know if the state's going to pay or who. But they want it. What do you know before?
Thank you for being here, Pam. Ready to say it? Yes, Chairman, I had this one, and just didn't get it in time, I didn't get it at all to the record. Just wanted to give an explanation to the $2,000 amount. I'm in agreement with the council's recommendation. And do believe it is behavior that needs to be addressed. Hopefully the respondent can learn from it. If the recommendation passes, they will have a long year to think about it. So find a $2,000 amount, if you will, please.
It's more or less a starting point recommendation that I came up with after reading this, because I think there are violations in play here. I feel like the suspension is appropriate. I also kind of took into consideration what this respondent had worked out with her now former principal broker, but he's willing to help her with reentry. So she's already completed some of the education because he's requiring that if she were to reenter the field. But, you know, given the situation and given the additional violations for reasonable skill in care, failure to provide services to parties, I would honestly and good thing, I added that. $1,000 penalty basically for each of those two.
Those here, we're discussing where a respondent took a well test document from a prior transaction, changed the information on, put the address of a current property on said document, and with the intention of putting in the actual well test inspection report later, having not done so, this came to light through the lender and through the other parties of the transaction, and it's just like a big no-no. And yeah, that's the crux of the matter that's being discussed here.
So the respondent basically forged a document. And it doesn't say who was the well inspection ever done. It was eventually done after it was discovered that she sent the altered form back to the lender, and then there wasn't a signature from the inspector. So it was sent to the inspector for signature, and that's when it was discovered that it never come out, and it was never actually done. They did do the well test. The well test did pass. The transaction ended up not going through for other reasons.
So this looks like it's forward. Is that right? Like it's
I'm sorry.
Forgery. What do you think? Is this forgery?
It's I would have to look up the actual criminal elements of forgery, but I don't want to use that word, but I would say she definitely intentionally altered a document. It's intentional misrepresentation for sure.
So the recommendation of council is to suspend this licensing, this license for a period of 1 year, and take some education and $2,000 in penalty. The broker, these are the broker, he or she got out about it, immediately broker the police licensing. So the broker would be a question in my mind this is a year suspension done for basically altering forgery, taking somebody white and something else, somehow, and putting something else on top. Staff's recommended 1 year suspension, $2,000 fine, above the education. That's what we're discussing. Other comments? Thoughts?
I want to second the remark about the broker taking swift action. It's how you learn. He or she made that, I think that was a good decision. Prepared to make a motion to accept council's recommendation.
Motion on the floor is to accept council. One part about the recommendation, I like this, you're relying on this person making education never previous role.
It's in line with what her previous broker required if she wanted to re-enter the field, you know, at some point in the future, and to allow her back into the firm. But she would have to provide proof that she had actually completed that before she would be able to, after a 1 year suspension period, before she would be able to be readmitted.
The other discussion, you've got to come back with the commission.
I added that as a recommendation.
All right, you've heard the motion, council, we're ready to vote, evening.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to amend my motion. Or restate it, you know. Because I don't feel that it's necessary for them to respond to appear before us.
So you're just picking one piece out. So I'm gonna suggest this go be this will be remove a portion of council recommendation. So we'll vote on the amendment first. Basically, the amendment is they stated it. It's remove the requirement that this license we have back and forth issue. He or she can get licensed, right?
Yeah, that's why I think said amendment.
If he did, I'm just going to see a second. Yeah, you may want a second. It's twice. Yeah. Okay, so the amendment has been seconded. Here's what we discussed. Vote on it. We voted on the amendment portion. But we'll have any discussion on the amendment. If you're in favor of the requirement for commission, since you vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote. That's my opinion. But if we're going to vote on it, vote yes.
Commissioner Ferris. Commissioner Gordon.
No.
Commissioner Moffitt. Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Torley. Commissioner Freeze.
So that the amendment fails. Now we're back to the original motion, which is to accept council's recommendation. We'll try this side. Voice vote. If there's no more discussion, so if you're in favor of the motion to accept council's recommendation, please vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. That motion passes. Okay, we're on to number 44.
On number 44, know that council recommended that we close that. And I read this one several times, but my concern was that the respondent several times provided the documents to the complainant. And the complainant wanted her paperwork. Was, and the respondent said that she said, well, I emailed them and you can come out and pick them up, and she needed several documents. So my concern was maybe she did not use good care and, reasonable care and skill, because I think she could have mailed them, although the respondent maybe wasn't living in the house she lived in. So
I'll say that the respondent states that she had made 3 attempts to connect up with the complainant to bring the actual hard copies to her, that she had complied with the rule in providing the executed copies at the time of the closing. The respondent did provide a copy of some type of text message or instant message between the parties, in which she had the complainant had again said, no, now is not a good time. I'm not living there yet. And the respondent was asking, when can I bring it by? And left it with the complainant to, let me know when it's a good time and I'll drop by. And the complainant said, thank you. So that's how it was left. According to the respondent, she was waiting, to hear back from the complainant again.
it just seems like that you as realtors to get the information along as soon as possible. And although we have customers, clients that understand emails and DocuSign and those things, they sometimes want information on the hard copy. So when I read that several times, it seemed like maybe this particular customer client wanted a paper copy in it. So my thinking was maybe that this agent was one that needed to put one in the mail to where this person was living. So a letter stating reasonable, like deal, but I'll be happy to do this. I like to have I will make a motion that we send a letter saying that Karen's bill should have been observed this time.
Yes. Do a letter of warning. And, at this time, we didn't need to necessarily broach a letter to the level of violation, but the commission is concerned about this particular aspect and reminds you, regarding the rule regarding exercising reasonable skill of care, and that this could be considered if there were any future complaints that arose. Or you can do something like a letter of instruction as to what, the rules are. I think I would be appropriate, or warning would also be appropriate in this situation. That's what the commission likes to do.
So a letter of warning will show up on this.
Yes.
That's protocol.
I think I would.
So I'm taking this motion as a motion to ask council to send a letter of instruction to the respondent. Second, for Mr. Poppett. To discuss. I just vote those in favor of that. Aye. And those opposed vote no. And the chair rules that vote has 4 ayes, 2 no vote. Mr. Ferris voted no. 4. You can okay. All right. And anything else?
I don't know anything further.
Thank you for driving parts on me now.
I'm not sure. I only drove to Nashville, and then I pitched a ride the rest of the way, so.
I didn't see anything else. And okay.
I think further just thank you to Lucar and
East Tennessee for all criminals.
I remember John, we're about to start, we're going to start with the this book record. City Intro Investigator. John Model Code and Impasse, which is on the lake as part of that. What lake is that? Senator Lake. The other one came from Humboldt, but then he had a strawberry festival there. DJ came from Nashville, Stacy came from Johnson City, wherever that is. Yeah, we appreciate you being our hosts this week. Yes.
Well, I was just gonna make one more comment. If you're here for CE, make sure that you actually sign out at the back.
And if you are here for CP, and I expect you are, please know you still have to get another 10 hours of continuing education. And 6 of those hours have to be a core class. So don't think this is a core class. Don't get confused. Thank you, man. We are adjourned. You all be safe going home. You all be safe going home, too.